Good morning, everyone. It is April 23rd, 2024. It's our 9 o'clock board briefing meeting. It is 9:03. Let the record reflect that we have 3 commissioners present: Commissioner Kearns, French, and Cuny. Commissioner Aldrich is on county business out of town. I don't know if she's joining us or not.
I spoke with her yesterday. She said in the afternoon.
Yeah, okay, and then I know Commissioner Jordan will be joining us in the afternoon as well. So it'll just be the 3 of us here this morning, but we do have a quorum this morning, so that's good news.
Deja vu.
Yes, so anyway, with that, Chris Weeks, you are on top of the agenda.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So in years past, before we built the small arms range, we used to contract with SPD for all of our range use. And it used to be like about 17,000, little over 17,000. Currently, we need to continue with this contract for the long range purposes for rifle use, because we don't have any way of training for rifle at the small arms range. And it's just $3,000 now. That gets them all the training that they need throughout the year, up to 24 training sessions. And so that's about it.
Okay, so that's what this agreement is.
Yes, ma'am.
Finalizing that. Okay, and as I now start asking everyone, and the attorneys have looked at it and approved it.
Well,
the attorneys from your office, you've had legal look at it.
yes, yes.
Okay. Any questions?
That it?
Very good. I think
Okay.
that's it. So then we'll see this on next week's agenda.
Okay, perfect. Would you like me to attend next week as well?
Should be fine.
Excellent. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, and then next up is Ashley Talman.
Hi,
Ashley.
good morning. It's always nice to see you. Well, thank you. I think you guys are gonna make up a lot of time here. Chris and I are quick.
There we go.
We're good. So in your materials, there is an FJCIP contract that I would like to request that the board approve. This is a grant that we have received from the state for the last 14 years. It funds 1 employee. Total amount is $79,800, which does include salary and benefits. So there's no general fund funds that are used to for this employee. The employee is tasked with working across the state with other courts that participate in this program to learn best practices as far as case processing. And then once they've learned the best practices, to put those in place in our court so that we can resolve our dependency cases very efficiently. And yeah, it's been great. I love it when the state is willing to fund an employee to help do kind of some statewide work. Another key part of this employee, they work with the clerks to make sure that things are put into the codes correctly, so we can run reports to track how we're doing. It's been a really great partnership between court administration and Tim Fitzgerald to just make sure that we track things the way that they need to, so that when the state or the board would like reports as to how we're doing, we have faith that those are correct. So with that, I would request that next week the board approve it. Grants has taken a look at it, and I believe Grants ran it through legal as well. Again, this is a contract that we've had for a lot of years, and it has not changed from year to year.
Questions for Ashley?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you
Very
all.
good.
You have a good
Thank
day.
you too. Take us to Mike. Right, I should say too.
Good morning.
Good
We'll
morning.
just keep with the quick thing going here today.
Very good. We had a schedule.
City of Deer Park annexed a couple parcels. We got notified 2 weeks ago. Candidate filing, so precinct changes have to be done by this Friday. And by law, if a city incorporates an area, we have to change those precincts to be in the city. And then candidate filing starts in about 2 weeks. So this will affect PCOs. So that's why we had to sort of fast track it to get it on the agenda, and it'll be on today's 2 o'clock meeting. So there's a picture of it up on the screen there. So it'll affect just 3 precincts. So we just went with the most logical way to do these annexations and put them in to the city of Deer Park precincts.
Okay, I'm missing it on today's agenda.
It's on there.
Yeah, it was on there. I saw it yesterday.
It's 7C.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So it's just updating those 2 precincts for what the city incorporated.
Right, just putting the incorporated annexation areas into city of Deer Park precincts.
And how many people does that affect?
19.
Very good. And then, so that'll get approved. So it'll be the 2 weeks notice before the,
Well, that's what,
Final
yeah,
week.
we'll get it into this afternoon. GIS is ready to make the changes, and then we'll get it into vote law, so it'll be ready for candidate filing
and so when is Canada finally need just to be?
May 5th, May 6th. That's
6 through 10.
Okay. Okay, any other questions?
See you this afternoon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Heather, welcome. We're just gonna just go, woo,
Flying through.
yeah.
I have 2 items this morning. The first one is we have received the participation forms and the settlement agreement for the Johnson & Johnson opioid settlement. We expect this to be a one-time payout. Based on the amount that's estimated to go to the state minus the attorney fees and the administrative cost. Then there's a split between what goes to the state directly, what comes to the counties and the large cities. The current rough estimate is somewhere around 3.3 would come directly to Spokane County. So this is prepped for you guys to approve next week, unless there's any other questions.
So it's a one-time payment from this settlement as well as different settlements.
Yeah, all the other ones have been multiple payments, but this is expected to be a one time.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, it's just hard to keep track of how these are all coming in, I'm sure for you as
Yes.
well.
Do we know yet? Are there similar stipulations on, does there have to be an opioid abatement council put together, or does it have
Yes,
to?
they
go
all
to the
fall under that
existing-
same.
It has to go under
Washington.
the same,
The same one,
okay,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's a different,
Just
a different company, it doesn't need to, we don't have to set up our own
No,
Johnson
no,
and
not a
Johnson.
new, yeah, no
Okay.
new things, but
Okay.
the same,
Still has to run
yeah,
through.
it's the same.
When did we join this litigation?
Ballpark would have been maybe 17, 18.
I was here.
Right, right,
I was a
right
commissioner
around there.
So,
I was,
yeah, I'm just trying to compare the time it takes for this litigation versus the Monsanto litigation, which was almost 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we did, I think we filed that, joined that lawsuit back in the early 2000s.
well, I know the money that we just received from Monsanto, we were not actively litigants in that. We were part of the class, the settlement
Right.
class, but
Right.
we were not actual participants in the litigation. On that one. Now, there's plenty of litigation against Monsanto, so
Right.
we may very well have been plaintiffs in other ones.
Okay.
I see, Mr. Scott, you raised your hand.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, as Heather was mentioning, this is all under the One Washington MOU. So this is just another settlement. This one just happens to be a lump sum one time, as opposed to some of our other ones that have up to an 18-year, some of them 9-year, some of them are 12-year. So just a single payment from this one.
Okay, and we don't actually know the exact amount.
Correct. This is just a rough estimate based on what they guessed would go to Washington. And then the division based on how much they estimated the attorneys would get, and the admin costs would be and all that.
And do we, so the agreement. What is the agreement telling us? Just that we're gonna get an amount?
Yes, it just says that we agree to abide by the One Washington MOU. We are agreeing to participate in the settlement,
Okay.
and we will continue to abide by that MOU that's in place.
So that's what we're gonna be approving,
Yes.
is that, okay. And do we know when they anticipate the payment to come out?
The payment's supposed to be made at some point this summer. They're about a month late getting these settlement forms out, so I would say maybe August, September.
Okay. Yeah, not to count on it till we get it, so. Okay, perfect, thank you, appreciate that. And then you have another item.
I do. I have the Homeward Bound contract is complete, ready for you guys to sign off on. BOA and I worked together to come up with some demographics and some reporting that they will be reporting quarterly on, so we can give you regular updates. They actually served about 98 people over the previous 2-year period with the funds that we provided. That was a little more than we've given them this time. So we've given them a guideline to serve at least 50 people. And that we want at least 90% of those people to stay in the relocated communities that we've kept them in.
So they'll be monitoring that.
Correct.
To see what they do. And this is, if I'm correct, how much are we,
We're giving them 30,000.
and we're taking this out of general fund?
Correct.
So is there a reason why we didn't have this become part of, well, the presentation we had yesterday with the community services on the homeless, how we can use some of our homeless dollars? Because this is a legitimate, a valid use of that, I should say legitimate, a valid use of that.
Yeah.
That why is, since those RFPs are just open right now, that we couldn't use that for this purpose?
I believe the conversation is that because the RFP process had already closed when this decision was made and VOA did not apply, although it would have been applicable, that next year the requirement is that if VOA wants to continue this, they need to apply through Georgia's team and through those funds.
I think it's a continuation, I don't know, Chris, help me talk through this, but if it's a continuation of the contract, and for the county, do we have to do that RFP if we want to continue the contract? Instead of having to do an RFP for it?
He does because he's under the commerce grant and this,
Right, but not on our recording fees, which are
not on recording.
This would be a legitimate use for those, or valid use, sorry, I keep saying legitimate, valid use. For the recording fees, I think, as well. So,
I mean, it is gonna depend on source of funds to some degree. And what the requirements are. You know, on the grant funds, and so if we haven't previously, or if the grant prohibits us from doing that, that would be the. Right, because normally I would agree we would not need to do a new RFP, but that is contingent on the other conditions on the funds.
I think on the recording fees, I mean, those are just coming into us to make
Well,
the
yeah,
decision on.
Yes, yes,
So,
but if we're mixing those funds with something else and the other funds have.
Right.
emergencies, Then we.
but as we saw yesterday, we got the whole list of all the different sources
Yes.
that I think we need to, I don't want to delay, because this is on our 2 o'clock today.
No, it's not until next week.
It's not until next week. I think we need to really take a look at that to see if we have the opportunity to use some of those other funds, which, you know, it's, it does take away from some other, needs, but I think that's part of what we have to really look at is what is that whole perspective that we're doing in the homeless area? And how are those funds distributed to the best purpose? And we obviously felt that this was the best purpose for the commissioners using general fund dollars, but as our general fund dollars are gonna continue to get tighter, we need to really look at what that means and what we can do. And I think we need to talk to George about seeing if it can come
So
out.
in George's presentation yesterday, where it had your it said funding sources included, had the federal, and it had three listed on that, it had state, which was which was commerce, the consolidated homeless grant. Then under local revenue, it was the document reporting fees, but then he also has another bullet that is sales and use tax. So we've got,
A couple of, I
there's
think
more than one funding source under the local revenue.
that are more in our discretion than having to be from commerce or different grants. So, the program's a really great program. I think we need to do it. So, but I think we need to look at what the source of those funds could be and, so maybe, maybe let George know, and I don't know if he can follow up. It's probably not on. Since we're ahead of schedule, if we could maybe have him talk to us later, Gina. So, okay, yeah. Because I think we may be ahead of schedule, so hopefully we can, just see if that's an opportunity for us. I know that changes some of his stuff, but it's
Yeah, I can definitely.
part
chat
of the
with them.
decisions that we need to be making as commissioners too, as we approve these items. So,
Absolutely.
I think we're all in support of the Homeward Bound program. We want to see this get funded. It's just which pot of money do we want to fund it with?
Exactly.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else on that? I apologize.
I think it's great we're moving forward. Pat had made a request yesterday, at the end of our meeting about
Yes, about doing this.
press release. Was that something for next week, Pat, when it's adopted?
Yes, I'll have the press release draft in boxes either this afternoon or tomorrow, and we'll have it scheduled for next week. So.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, then that's gonna take us to Kyle.
Morning. We have two items for you this morning here. Is John up first?
Yes,
We have John Griffin here. He's our traffic safety manager.
good morning.
Sorry, right back to the other one. And so John's going to brief us about a grant opportunity with regards to signal box reps and safety messaging.
But I have a grant, we have a grant, Walker-Rolla grant, and the background is we have a lot of bicycle pedestrian fatalities in our county and across our state. The numbers are pretty alarming. 20% of our fatalities in Spokane County revolve around pedestrians and bicycle fatalities. We had a 30-year high in the state in 2021. So the grant is an educational grant. So part of that grant is to wrap traffic safety boxes with images and messaging that would promote positive community normings, the things that we want people to do. And so we go to the next slide. Right now the budget's $15,000. It'll cover all the cost to produce and install wraps. There's 19 boxes in the county, but 17 of them are the same size. The other 2 are not size. So the messages would be in English and Spanish because we have a increasing Spanish speaking population in the county. And the messaging would match the characteristics of the location. So if there are a lot of bicycle lanes, that would be for pedestrian and bicycle messaging. If it's high traffic, pedestrian traffic, we would put pedestrian traffic messaging there.
There's a rail one too, right?
There is one that's more a railroad one, so we would, in my plan would be to promote railroad safety messaging in that area. If you go to the next slide, please. I went backwards. So here's some examples. Watch for walkers, rollers, travel with care Spokane. I like to travel with care Spokane with the idea that we're all looking out for everybody in the community, not just ourselves. Those colors, the blue, green, and yellow came from the new flag for the city of Spokane. Because I was trying to find a color scheme that would match the area. And since they created a new flag recently, that's where we got the colors from. The next slide, please. There's the colors in that one are used from another program in Bellevue, but same messaging. The one on the right there, the boxes are 44 wide on the front and 25 on the side. So the sides sometimes don't take the whole the whole image. So we would use that on the sides. So it's a complete wrap. There was a similar program done in Benton, Franklin County, and over in Bellevue. Bellevue did 39 boxes. They've had them up for over a year, and none of them had been vandalized. So it also reduces potential vandalism in areas. Next slide. Any questions?
Yeah, I do. So the fatalities for bikes, do we have any data that shows the character of the conduct prior to the accident? For instance, if somebody was traveling in a bicycle lane, a car moved into the bicycle lane and hit them, that's one thing. But if somebody's on a bicycle weaving through traffic and ends up getting hit, that's, we can't prevent stupid. And so do we have any data that shows, what's the nature of the fatalities? And are the fatalities preventable as opposed to due to poor conduct?
Overwhelmingly, they are preventable. The one that pops into my mind right now is a grain truck who pulled around across a double yellow line to go around a bicycle who had then just decided that they were coming up on the intersection and to turn, and instead of slowing down and waiting across the double yellow line, the bicycle looked and turned and got hit. That's a preventable accident. And those are more of what we're seeing.
Okay.
I won't say 100% because I haven't read every collision report, but.
Okay.
Guys, are these vinyl wraps?
They are vinyl wraps.
So you mentioned another community that has them, they last about a year. Is that what we expect? I mean, with our weather, our hot summers, cold winter, I mean, are these gonna hold up a year, do you think? Or are they gonna start to fade, or is the adhesive gonna come off? I mean, what type of?
They haven't had any issues with fading or things coming off. I'm not saying they've been up a year to imply that that's the length of time they would last. I'm just telling you they had been up for a year.
Okay.
And in that time, they haven't had any issues. They haven't had any graffitis. Some of those were placed in areas where they had higher graffiti issues, and none of them are being defaced.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know what the actual lifespan is anticipated on them. A few years is likely, and then at some point, if we wanted to, we might be going back to this program. This is 100% grant funded program to see if it needs to be evolved or replaced. Everything we have confirmed, it won't have any negative impact on the operations and maintenance of our signal boxes.
Okay.
And then is it, is this grant for the entire county or just unincorporated county?
Just our unincorporated.
Yeah.
So it's our 19 signals, 17 of which have the appropriate size signal boxes.
We're gonna use the city's color scheme.
You got another idea?
We got lots of cities in the county.
I'd start somewhere, and we do have to put something out there by June 30th, right?
Yeah, the time frame for this grant runs out in June 30th. I picked the color scheme for the flag because it was something that had been recent and it had input from various areas in the community. So it wasn't just an organization picking it, it had community input, so that's why I went with that.
I did not recognize it as the city flag color, so I think it's just gonna be the color, just recognize its colors.
Sure.
We received a presentation, was it 2 weeks ago, from the medical examiner? And she actually had some interesting statistics in the amount of vehicle versus pedestrian deaths and the kind of alarming rate that drugs play in those. So might be worth going back and watching the tape on that. It's kind of a surprising statistic that she threw out. So it wouldn't be what you expect. So
Drive down Division early in the morning. Exactly what you expected.
So maybe an anti-drug message on a couple of these boxes might be a good message to put out there.
Questions?
So this is an existing grant that we have. It's just be utilizing the program on it. So we wanted to make sure the board was comfortable with this. It is obviously something very visual that's going to be out there. So we don't actually have a resolution for you to approve because the grant's already here. It's just whether or not we kind of exercise this component of the grant program.
Yeah, I'm fine moving forward with it. Looking for prevention is key, so anything we can do.
That's the way I looked at it too. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Okay, next one, I see Deb.
Yes.
Morning.
Fun stuff in the solid waste world. Ever exciting.
Non-stop this year. So I'm not sure if you are aware, but at our Valley Transfer Station, we have a very large solid waste compactor that we use to load containers for transfer. It is 21 years old now, still operating, but it's very old. In fact, last year a part broke on it, which is a little computer card, and normally those used to cost about $1,200, and I had to find one off in Kansas somewhere because they don't make them anymore, and it was $10,000 to buy this little card. So it's time to replace it. And what I'm asking in front of you here today, well, here, I'll show you my picture, just in case anyone hasn't been to the transfer station, seen the compactor. Those are our loadout tunnels at the back bottom of our transfer station, and the door on the left is where a truck container will back in, and they'll back into that compactor that you see on the bottom right corner. And there's a chute above where we push garbage into the compactor, and then the compactor shoves it into the transfer trailer. The nice thing about the compactor is you can get higher weights on your loads with it. So go next slide, please. What we need to do is a sole source declaration for our compactor. There are several compactors out there that are built, but they're so very different. I was fortunate enough to call King County, and they were doing the same thing the same time I was. And so I got to use some of their research, and I learned more about compactors than I ever wanted to know. Some of it I still don't quite understand, but what I do know is the compactor we're looking at is the exact replacement model that we have now. It's just upgraded. It's got some better features. It's got a better variable frequency drive where electricity should drop by about a half is what I'm told. It's going to fit directly into the footprint compared to other compactors. We would have to make alterations. It has the highest horsepower motor. The other compactors were 30 to 100 horsepower range, and this was 250, so it far outranged. We can fill the compactor in one load, one bale, and other compactors, the majority of them, you had to fill it twice to get a container load. So we can get more efficient, better loads with just one. And then the SSI is the sole manufacturer for this machine. So basically what we do is we order, build it, and it's like it's my money, I'm sorry. We have to put down, I think it's 35% or something like that. So we'll put down about between $700,000 and $8,000 this year to have the order put in and then built. The entire package is about 2 million. As you see there. And that's without tax. So by the time we get done, we're ranging up closer to 3 million. And this isn't for the install, this is just for the machinery. But if we are able to order it and get it built, we should have it sometime around this time next year, hopefully.
This all comes out of the solid waste budget.
And this is in our capital plan.
And the next slide, I think I just. Yeah, just some benefits real quick. You know, if we top load it without a compactor, we typically average 5 tons less per container. With this new compactor, we might even average 10 times or 5 tons, not times. We may be able to get even 10 tons greater with the compactor than top load. It just depends on our chassis configuration and our trailers and our trucks and what's legal on the road, but the compactor has a 20-year lifespan as long as we're taking care of it, and we'll get electricity savings. So overall, using the compactor versus not, it pays for itself at the minimum, and at the, you know, the most, it's just depending on how much garbage we get, it could pay for itself twice.
Is there any value on the secondary market for the old one? Like, is there another community that we can sell that to? I mean, other communities that, you know, maybe are using one that's 40 years old, would they buy our 20-year or is there, I mean, is there some sort of value? Are there I mean, you said you bought one part that was $10,000. Are there parts on this that we can sell off as well to help defray some of the costs?
That could be a possibility. I know that, and I'll talk more with SSI about it, but they sometimes have a trade-in value, so
Okay.
we'll see if
All right.
they give us anything.
It would probably be with the manufacturer, would be have the most value so they can scrap it for parts, just keep their other units around the country alive.
Okay.
But we will definitely reach out to them and look for other surplus. So this is, the timing is nice in that this would be arriving early on into our operations of the new facility, not day one, but, you know, we'll get the benefit of the full useful life of this instead of our current operator right now. And yeah, as I said, all of this is anticipated in the current capital spend. Part of that.
Other questions? Thank you. Yeah. Deb, would you be able to send me, when you did the presentation that analyzed us going to become our own operator? Can you send me that presentation? I had a citizen was asking me about that the other day, so yes, just be able to send it on. Okay.
Do you want the final one? I had like 3 different versions because I think I came right before you 3 different times. So.
Yeah, let's do the final one. That would be great. So thank you. Appreciate that. Okay.
Thank you. Presentation, you crushed it.
It was just waiting to do that. Just waiting. That was the gleam in your eye. I knew there was something that was. Okay. So then next is miscellaneous items.
Yeah, money.
Oh, here we go. Sorry, Monty.
Sitting here, entering the room.
All right.
Monty, sorry about that. I just talked to you the other day, so maybe it was like, yeah.
You all covered. Well, good morning, commissioners. Thanks for having us and so soon as well, you know, get this done. I'll start off with introductions. I'm not sure if all of you had a chance to meet our new building official, Jordan Neal. Jordan joined us at the beginning of February, came over from Pierce County and jumped right in and brought his expertise and a great approach to the job, and it's making it successful. It's been wonderful. The specific reason that we're here today is that on your afternoon agenda is a resolution awarding the results of an RFP process that we went through to find a third-party vendor for plan review. Just so you know, when I came down to the building department, we had 2 people in the plan review classifications to do all of the plan review for everything from an accessory building to a single family to apartment complexes to Amazon fulfillment centers. And they ended up getting recruited away from the county to local jurisdictions for higher compensation. So we are working on that problem, a little more on that in a moment. But they both, one of them left at the beginning of January, the other one at the end of March. So at the current time, we don't have anyone in those positions. One of our building inspectors, Elin Brighter, has stepped up to do the residential plan review, and the rest of the inspector team has stepped up to cover his normal inspections. And on the commercial side of it, the person who left worked diligently up till their last day to get us as far ahead as they could. And, you know, Jordan's been able to look at some of those as well to keep it moving forward. But in the meantime, as we recruit, we are leaning on these third-party vendors to do the plan review for us. Our plan is to probably bring on 3 of these companies so that we can spread out the work and make sure that we fit with each team, each vendor's specialties and what they're good at, and get the work done. It is absolutely our belief that the best way to run this department is to have our own plans examiners on staff that provides the right customer service. This is a right now an urgent fill-in to get the work done, and we do plan on keeping them available in the future when workloads fluctuate. It's gonna be nice to be able to offload chunks here and there to keep the customer service level to where we want it to be. So in all of this, we obviously have a retention problem. We also have a recruitment problem. The postings have not been successful as of yet. So Jordan put a lot of work in with HR to look at the classifications and to look at the compensation, and did come up with a increase for those 2 positions. And we've recently reposted them with the new pay, and we are hopeful that we will be more successful in our recruiting process. We do have jobs posted on the industry websites and on Indeed. And if you know anybody, you know, please have them, you know, apply. We've also created a plans examiner 1 position to bring on people who are not certified, who could learn the job and get going. So we're trying to attack this from all angles and build what we think will be the best building department in the region. That's what our goal is. And we'll be returning with more, I think, strategic planning about how we think this department should look, with more details on that, including staffing and some of our priorities. So more to come. But today's focus was on that we get a vendor on board to help us with plans review. Meantime.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I have had the opportunity to work with our new building official, and I would just share with the board that I'm very impressed with his approach, his attitude, his creative energy around finding solutions and stuff. So I just welcome aboard, and thank you. Appreciate your efforts. With regard to the third party, does the contract include any kind of timelines in terms of turnaround?
Yeah.
So that they've got to be responsive?
It is.
Okay,
It's strictly outlined.
okay. Very good.
So just because I haven't read the agreement or any of that, so it's on a per use basis, so for each permit you're looking at,
Correct.
and then what's normal cost of it?
Like the hourly rate or something like that.
Is it on a Is it an hourly?
It's an
I guess
outright,
that's-
so that's a great question, honestly, and Jordan could probably speak better than me, but here I am talking. A standard way to have done is to have them get a percentage of your permit fee is a very common industry way to do this. We're in that spot right now with our fee structure, so we're starting with hourly rates because it was the easiest way to get us going. And so all of them have told us what their hourly rates are, and they have estimates for what the turnaround, amount of time that a typical type of residential, for instance, or commercial would be. So we have those costs, and they each are actually slightly different.
And then are we still gonna be able to cover those costs within
Yeah.
our department?
I do, Mary, we go to budgets, yes. No, absolutely. It's not ideal long-term, but budget-wise, we're absolutely fine with this, yes.
So potentially in the future, which you said you're gonna come back and do a strategic planning session, so I won't hold you to it.
Yeah,
at this
100%,
point.
I hold you to that. We will come back to, for one, we're looking at the amount of staffing. We had 2 plans examiners. Even when I first came down, I felt that was too few because it creates, someone goes on vacation, now you've got a throughput problem. Having an additional one, which we're probably gonna present to you as an option, is what we'd like to do, is where we're probably headed. So we have a more robust team that can handle the ups and downs and take care of things in a more proactive manner. So, yeah,
And so as you look at that, you'll be looking at what the permit fees need to be,
yes.
Yes.
and then also looking at, I'd like to see kind of a comparison of where our fees are versus other jurisdictions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's exactly the kind of thing we'd like to bring to you. What is, what are our turnaround times? How quickly do we get projects back out the door? And how our fees compare. I would say right now, it's my understanding they compare very favorably. And so we will bring you updates on the fee structures themselves, because we're probably going to propose a new one. Currently, it's based on recovery. It's the fees were based on how much the previous year's budget was, basically, and then divided by the number of types of permits. So we're going to look at something that's a little bit more of an industry standard way of doing that going forward.
Very good. I look forward
A
to
lot
that.
more to see of us. That's what I'm trying to say.
We love it. Well, Jordan, thank you and welcome aboard and excited and, hitting construction season. So lots of permits, I'm sure, are starting to come through and happening. So
That is a fair point. We did get a large surge right prior to the code change, and we are a little bit behind still, but team is working really hard to catch us up. And I think we're doing really well.
no, I appreciate that because as you know, we as commissioners get a lot of those calls when permits aren't flowing.
Absolutely.
So
Pass those on.
it's like, it's the summertime activity versus the wintertime activity if my road's not getting plowed.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, exactly.
Well, perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it. And like I said, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And I do see that on today's agenda, I think it's 7H. Is that correct?
Yep.
So. Okay, now we're to miscellaneous. So, but I see lots of people here. We have several miscellaneous that are already in play. So Randy, you're next up.
All right. Commissioners. For Josh. Just real brief, commissioners, this is the annual MOU or memorandum of agreement with WSU. This is the amount that we had in our budget last year. This year, the amount is $294,259. That is $10,000 less than we paid in 2023. WSU for cooperative extension. Our current agreement says that we need to we should have had this late last year, but we typically don't get it until the current year. If we want to ever revisit the agreement and or consider discontinuing, we need to do that by October 1st of the current year for the next year. So if we ever want to look at the language in there, there is some language that I think could maybe be negotiated out if we want to continue on that, such as when the people at WSU retire, at the extension retire, we are responsible for their
accrued vacation and everything like that. WSU is not. So we may want, might be some language as a board, you may want to negotiate with WSU if we continue this path.
So I think a lot of these are this, each county has the same.
Each county, I think each county has an extension office in that they don't all support in the same manner.
So, and
It's not a one size fit all agreement with each county.
but so for the basically 300,000, I mean, it's
It costs
It's a
us about 600,000 for the total cooperative extension budget.
and I think we looked at this in 18 as potential budget cuts. Maybe one commissioner was thrilled that some of the others, but I think when we got that presentation, I mean, there's a lot of really great things that they do for the
They do
community.
the master gardeners, they handle 4-H. So I'm just telling you what the agreement is, and if you ever want to make
Master gardeners
changes,
is great.
you have to do it from the first.
Yeah, and they do a lot of food safety and food. I mean, there's a whole host of things they do, so.
But you will see this probably on next week's agenda, consent agenda,
Just to approve it.
just to approve this memorandum of agreement amount, which is the amount that we had in our budget. And as I said, it's 10,000 less than the 2023.
And do they state the amount, send them out to us or?
In the budget, we worked with them and we went down to 294, 259. Last year it was 304, 600, and I guess it like $34 or something like that.
Thank you.
Yep.
We had press releases and proclamations.
We do have a proclamation this afternoon.
Proclamation, excuse me, good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
First. The proclamation this afternoon is for National Therapy Animal Day. Cindy Cutler with Pet Partners will be here with her therapy animal to receive the proclamation. Gina has already received that. And then on April 30th, a proclamation for Older Americans Month and also the Expo 74 50th anniversary celebration.
Both on the same day,
Yes.
on the 30th. Okay, I'll read the expo one. Al, which one do you want to read?
Martha, who was the sponsor of the other
The
one?
same joke every year.
The Older Americans Month proclamation was actually Commissioner Jordan.
Okay.
Yes, because it's usually the person who's on the ATM line.
Oh.
So it's been you in the past.
I just-
I make a similar joke every year.
Yeah.
I know that.
Gotta go back to the vault, pull that joke out.
Yes. A special.
Once a year.
So,
They are.
Once a year, that joke gets pulled out of the vault.
It's just the day.
You live as long as I have.
Okay, and then I did see the other proclamation that we have for Eric. I'm not sure when I need to.
Actually, I have that on the schedule to be presented on May 28th.
Perfect. That's perfect. Because yes, we just wanted.
Yes, and that one has been taken care of.
And I'll double check if we're presenting those at the board meeting or not. So we may need to do it sooner. But trying to have it be a surprise, so it's like, how do we, in a public meeting, have it be a surprise? So.
Worst kept secret.
Yes, I'll do a little more research there for us, but
By leave proclamation.
I know exactly. Okay.
With the board's permission, I'd like to touch base with you about the Expo 74 celebration The light covers have been ordered by Guild. And I'll go ahead and move forward with an advance notice that this is what we're going to be doing and the time we're doing it. And Matt Santangelo, the program manager for the celebration, has said that we have an opportunity for a booth at the opening ceremonies, vendor village, and closing ceremonies. And I was wondering about opening that up to some other Spokane County departments to see if they're interested, such as Parks, Recreation, and Golf to promote their programs, or Scraps to promote adoptions, or HR about, employment opportunities.
I think all of the above. I mean, yeah, I think that'd be great to promote any of those or all of them.
We also have the banner. It will be horizontal. They do have 5 signature sponsors on the banner: Spokane County, City of Spokane, Garco Construction, Nonstop Local KHQ, and Washington Trust Bank. Now, it is the recommendation of Gil and also of Patrick that we ask them to remove the signature sponsors from the banner so it doesn't provoke any possible vandalism of the banner and this historic building.
I don't.
Sure.
Yeah.
You okay with that? All right, thank you.
So Martha Lou, I'm gonna ask, so remember when I gotten that email I forwarded to you? So are we now considered a sponsor?
Yes, we're one of the signature sponsors.
Because remember initially, I think I don't know, Visit Spokane wasn't identifying us as the sponsor, we gave the money. Since we gave our funding to Visit Spokane, the Parks Department did not have us as a signature sponsor.
We are now. I reminded them of the board's generosity in supporting the 50th anniversary celebration.
When I went down, was that 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago for the Visit Spokane press conference, our logo was on everything down there.
There was an email that I got that I noticed it was not. And so I forwarded to Martha Lou to say, remember we did this, and so.
Yes, the communications office took care of that a few weeks ago.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr.
So
French.
do you know how much the other sponsors are contributing, Washington Trust and?
No, sir, I don't.
It would be interesting to find out if you can, because I think with regard to the Expo 74, the county is the largest financial contributor to this effort. We actually outstripped the city, and even with the measure taken last week with STA, that's only going to be $350 on a good day, and we're at $450 plus.
I did 300.
We did $450.
450 is for Expo. It was 500 total. 450 was for Expo. 50,000 was for Sports Canada USA. But 450 is earmarked for the Expo celebration.
Yes.
I just think that, as the community conversation goes through the celebration, you ought to recognize that the county is
A major contributor.
the major contributor. Yeah.
No, and I will be out of town that weekend. I'm headed to the National Security Forum in Maxwell Air Force Base that week, so I know.
So who will be representing the county as the speaker at the opening ceremony?
So we've had an invitation, just to clarify, from Expo 74 for the county to be represented in the opening ceremonies. Traditionally, that first opportunity would go to the chair to represent the board. So either in the chair's discretion or in the board's discretion, we can appoint someone else.
I would say just go to the vice chair. So.
Okay.
Were you alive back then? No, I just.
No.
Just kidding.
11 years later,
11 years later.
I was alive back then, so I.
Also, commissioners, Commissioner Cuny, it's regrettable you won't be here, but Commissioner French, you are also invited to attend the opening ceremonies, even though Commissioner Kearns will be speaking on behalf of the county.
And I'm sure the other 2 commissioners as well. All right.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Now, you should have all received an invitation from GSI for a reception prior to the opening ceremonies. Did you receive that?
Sounds like no.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing that.
We'll make sure you get it.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that on the Friday?
It would be the day of, prior to the opening ceremonies,
Saturday.
Saturday, May 4th.
I haven't got it yet.
I don't think so.
Bloomsday is the next day.
The next.
It's gonna be a wild weekend out.
It's fine, out of town.
Well, cause all the people that are there for Expo, but all the people picking up their rate packets too, so you've
Yeah.
got. It's gonna be.
Park here, it's.
good to-
Parking's
Yeah.
gonna be a
Oh, yeah.
challenge.
That's-
Yeah, so. Okay, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. And I do know a bridge will not be open for the opening ceremonies, just so you know.
It's not. You're led to believe that it was.
There's been other changes in schedule. But when the party at the bridge happens, I'll let you know. Okay, and then we talked about the Wasatch proclamation, so, okay, I'll follow up with on that. We have lots of people in the room, so there must be more going on than I know.
I have one quick miscellaneous and then one executive session that I'm aware of. We have next the miscellaneous. Just wanted to make note that item 5A on the agenda this afternoon doesn't need to be taken separately, and I believe Scott Chesney will be there to just discuss it briefly. And that is the initiation of the 2024 comp plan.
Okay.
And I have one miscellaneous too.
Okay.
So there is a growing conversation about wind turbines here in the county. I've met with a couple manufacturers that have said, hey, we want to do this. And I'm going, well, we don't allow it in the code. And but we also don't prohibit it in the code. And so I'm thinking that and Fairchild has got some very serious concerns, SAA as well. So I'm wondering if we should have a conversation with Mr. Chesney about putting this on, if for no other reason, just getting an interim ordinance that can at least guide us as we develop final regulations around this. I know that it has been very, very controversial in other counties, and then other counties have said, come on in.
So Commissioner Kearns and I have talked about this, so, because I've got a lot of people in South County that are very upset about the potential. So Commissioner Kearns reached out to, I let him know Whitman County already has adopted, call it an ordinance or.
Yeah, they actually adopted back in 2009, I think it was. I spoke with Commissioner Swanek. And so he sent me what they have around the wind farms and stuff. So I can forward that on to you. I sent it to Scott Chesney. He was gonna look at it, and maybe see if that would be a good starting point for us to jump. I haven't heard back from him
Yes,
yet.
it'd be helpful to maybe talk about sooner than later.
Yeah.
The problem is, and I'm actually talking to somebody this afternoon at I think 1:30 on a call, is that there is a state committee that can supersede whatever we do, that they can determine. And so that's part of the issue, but the sooner that we have something that better to at least try to let our citizens know we're trying to stop it. And then I've got a presentation from Rob Kaufman that he did to a group, talking about it, because I mean, it's a whole issue with property taxes and stuff, because you know, you've got sales tax, but you've got property tax that increases everything, but then that declines in, you know, as you depreciate those wind turbines. And so then the county is, well, holding, you know, your value then is increased. And so now it's assessed throughout the county. And so it's a real issue that we need to figure out.
I just forwarded you what.
Thank you. Well, there's also environmental issues, you know, they're hazardous to birds of prey, especially golden eagles. We do have a presence in this market. And so there's a number of other issues from an environmental standpoint that go well beyond just the property tax.
The whole point of GMA is to protect the farmland. And
Theoretically,
And it takes away, I mean, that's my issue in the South County is it's taken away farmland and then you can't have crop dusters, do crops around it. So then you've got other farmland that's now affected as well. And so it's a huge issue for the community.
And I've already had numerous conversations with people throughout the state on this issue. So we have started gearing up for how to proceed with this and how to implement it. And as Commissioner Cuny mentioned, the kind of intersection with FSEC and that process, the state process.
And the power that's generated doesn't stay local. That's why it's going to California. So. Yeah, and from what I heard too, talking to Avista, I mean, the turbines are getting bigger and bigger. And so even then, if you've got a 20-year lifespan, at the end of 20 years, what happens? So, yeah, we're happy to figure out what we can do. I've got a lot of citizens that are not happy at all.
I've had several folks reach out. It's surprising. I think all three of us were contacted and maybe all five, honestly, have been it was all like at the same time within a matter of 2 weeks. It seems to have been all different people too that reached out to us.
And
The same issue.
Lincoln County is having the same thing as well, and I know Whitman's trying to stop any further than what happened already down there, so. And the other thing is like, even if this, what I learned in Clickitat County is like with the solar panels and all that, what people don't want to talk about is that if there's a fire under solar panels, it's toxic fumes that comes up. But they would literally, if they had a fire down there with their solar farms, would have to evacuate Tri-Cities. And no one seems to be wanting to discuss those other ramifications of it. So, and even on the wind, I mean, with the wind turbines, you can't get underneath to do fire prevention either. So it's just this whole things that need to be discussed.
well, it's just reassuring to know that the state of Washington's got an energy program that they're ready to launch and stuff. That's just really reassuring. Just saying.
Yes. Okay, so that's your miscellaneous. How about yours?
So I was going to ask, I've reached out to a couple of the members of Spokane Valley City Council around our conversation around a aquifer protection area. And I think it would be beneficial for us to send a letter from the BOCC just we can send it to the mayor, CC, all the other council members, but just essentially stating that, we're approaching the expiration date of our 20-year APA. We would, the intent is to put this on the ballot at some time before it expires, and just really gauging the interest of the Valley Council, asking them, the electeds themselves, what their desire is, what sort of their temperature as far as being a part of this. I think that would be beneficial to the whole discussion. I think it needs to be BOCC to council for us to get an answer on where they're at.
I agree.
So that's all I'm asking, that we send a letter from not necessarily at the staff level, but commission to council, asking where they're at. So, and asking for an answer back from the council on where they stand on APA. Do they want to be a part of it? Is there a date they want to see it on the ballot, and just sort of just kind of gauge their temperature. So.
Would you send it to the city of Spokane as well?
Sure, let's do another one, but theirs would be different. Theirs would be about, do you want to join? The Valley would be, do you want to remain a part of it? We'd have to draft slightly different for the city of Spokane. Yeah,
I'd say
do you want to be a part of it?
regional for the city.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, because they were, so I think that's probably the way to kind of get this ball moving.
Scott, I see you raised your hand.
Yeah, I was just going to, just offer some support for what Commissioner Kearns mentioned. That way, there's a very clear line of communication as to what the elected, who's going to be making the decision, the elected body wants to do. As we've been kind of working through this and talking back with various people, just to make sure we're getting the information directly from their elected body.
Yeah, so I would agree. And I think, doing it to the city of the Valley, to the mayor and the council, and then doing it to the city of Spokane, to the mayor and the council president and the rest of the council.
So I guess my question is this something we want to kind of have on a consent agenda for next week? Do you want me to make a motion now and we sign it outside of, just, up to you guys, I guess.
I would say let's get a draft.
Okay.
And let's put it on next week.
Sounds good. Okay.
So,
So maybe Pat and Kyle can work on,
Probably
So the-
Jeff and Kyle and.
or Jeff and Kyle. Okay.
it's communications.
It's a policy matter, but yes, communications, everything's communicated.
All right, Jeff, Kyle, and Pat. There we go.
Sorry.
So, and it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I thought the last conversation was this really is probably a 2025 ballot measure, not 2024, because we're running out of time to be able to have a package, to be able to educate and everything else. So we're pushing to 2025, right?
We've certainly missed August. Don't have time for August. It would take a lot of energy to even make November. So yes, I think you're accurate.
Okay,
Well,
well,
of the ballot of 25, and I think that is part of the most challenging part of this discussion is everybody has a competing ballot measure. And
There's never gonna be. a good
at what point are we going to agree with one or both municipalities to say, it's gonna be November, it's gonna be August, it's gonna be, that's really the hard part of this conversation right now.
well, so the leadership group I've got on the West Plains, we've shifted to 2025 as far as what we're thinking about for the West Plains. So I just wanted to share that with you as well.
But we may have to, can't make them an August ballot. And it could be November, I know you wouldn't like it on November, but if we wait till next year and we're February, then we're schools, and it's just, there's never gonna be a good time, so. But we know for sure it will not be on August ballot.
Yeah.
So that's what we know, because as we look at other opportunities, so.
Okay.
Okay, so, yeah, we'll get a couple letters drafted and put them on the consent agenda. So that will mean people will have to take a look at them, make sure they approve what that is, and we have that next week's consent agenda. Okay. Is that all the other miscellaneous things?
All I've got.
Okay. So then that takes us to executive session.
Yep.
So I see, is everyone at the?
Some of them are.
So Steve, are you here for any other reason, or you're here for an
I
executive?
don't know
session?
if there's multiple executive sessions, an executive session,
Okay. Scott's-
you're for one of those.
Let's see Scott's. Yeah.
Okay, Scott should have it, but.
Okay, okay, well, I know, Chris, would you like to tell me your executive session?
Sure, it's a pending potential litigation matter pursuant to RCW 4230-110-1I. No action from the board is needed. This should include the board, myself, Scott Simmons, Matt Koza, Larry Haskell, Ben Bradabo, Rob Lindsay, and Kyle Tuig. Should take approximately 30 minutes.
Okay. And Scott,
Yes,
Ashley was
I've got,
raising your hand for you, so.
yep, I've got one executive session under review the performance of public employee, RCW 4230-110-1G. That will be the board, myself, Ashley Cameron, and Steve Bartell. And that'll be about 15 minutes, no action.
And Dan Gad also.
And Dan Gad.
And. Okay, and yesterday at the board meeting, the board, I don't know what I can say. Other than I can say that.
Like an attorney present for
The board is.
second
determining
executive
that
session.
They would like an attorney present. So. I will just say I don't want to be having, yes. I want to be anything. So, okay, so to get. And, you or Larry, I don't care.
Sure,
Just one of you.
sure.
Okay. How long do you think that executive session is gonna go?
15 minutes.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna do the one that I know. We're gonna do the first one.
Pending potential.
Yes, it's like I know what the purpose is, I don't know that I can say it, so we're gonna do that one first. The 30-minute one, or should we do the 15-minute?
And maybe I should just ask, is Rob coming for this? I know he was initially.
He is available remotely,
Okay, okay.
but
Yeah, just
we
wanna-
don't, it's okay if he
Okay.
doesn't attend.
Well,
And I
either
have-
we announced him, that's why I was asking.
Okay.
So he's, obviously he can do.
So which? So with that, Scott, we're gonna do yours first.
Okay, and board, if I could ask for Larry Haskell to be present in that one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I apologize to have the rest of you wait, but if you can, since that one's gonna be longer and I think that potentially we'll do that. So we'll go into executive session for 45 minutes. It is now 10:15, so we'll be until 11 o'clock. No action will be taken on either item. And it'll be for the reasons already stated. So with that, we will adjourn at the end of the executive session and be back for the 2 o'clock. Thank you all very much.